Hello, and welcome back to the Psych Legal Pop Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about popular culture through the lens of an attorney and a therapist. I'm the therapist, Tess Brigham.
And I'm Brooke Brigham. I'm the attorney.
And we are back with And Just Like That, Season 3, Episode 2, The Rat Race. So, Brooke, thoughts, high level?
Well, there were parts of this that I liked. And, some parts I'm a little frustrated. Really frustrated with this Aidan thing. But it appears that Carrie might have like a new flirtation situationship thing. I don't know. There's a lot going on. They definitely like are throwing a lot of stuff out there. And then like, where's this going?
Yeah, a lot's going on, and yet at the same time, it's a bunch of stupid stuff. Like stuff that you're like, I don't quite understand why are we doing this? After my big epiphany last week, I realized I need to stop seeing this as Sex in the City. And I need to embrace this as this is stories of middle-aged privileged people, living their best lives in New York.
Privilege problems.
Yeah. How do you embrace it? But and I think that all the relationship stuff, which has always been the most interesting part of Sex in the City and Just Like That, right, is interesting. I just feel like, what are you doing to Charlotte? Why are you making this woman? Charlotte has a lot of interesting things going on. She works full time. She has these 2 kids. The 2 kids are very different. One's going off to college. You've been married for a long time. And this is, and Charlotte's got stresses and things to say and things to do. But her biggest stresses in her life are her dog being
falsely accused.
Thank you. Falsely accused. And this crazy story of getting your kid in, to...
Well, that was one of the more truer parts of this show, because that is how it is.
Yes. And what bugged me about it was, yes, I know that it is what it is, and it's a show, so everything's heightened, right? The whole, everything has to happen in these... Of course, they can't just write her an email. They have to stalk her, and they have to do this and that. I get all that, but just how quickly they turned around as parents, like the minute it was just like, okay, because it felt like we have to wrap this up. All of Charlotte's storylines have to be wrapped up within this 1 week, where it's these other storylines that are kind of ongoing, because that is what life is. I find those a lot more interesting, because if Charlotte and LTW at the end of that had just said, hey, let's regroup, or let's have a meeting with her. Let's talk about it. Like, let's figure it out. I just don't think that you would go from, oh my God, we have to have this woman meet our kids and help us get into college, to one bad meeting and them running in the opposite direction.
Well, I don't think that story's necessarily over. I mean, I think they were just reacting to the kids being traumatized. But trust me, they're going to go home and they're going to think, well, look, we still cannot trust our children's future to this Debbie at the school who everyone says is terrible. We have to do something. So here's my prediction. They're going to go and find a counselor who's, a little softer touch, but they're going to do it because they're like, everyone else is doing it. They don't have to necessarily go with this Lois Finger, Finger Hut or whatever her name is.
I have it somewhere written down here. Fingerhood.
What a name. But I feel like they are going to come to their senses and realize they have to get a counselor to get their kid into maybe not the Ivy League, but, Ivy League adjacent.
Yeah, maybe. It just feels the whole thing, just watching LTW run across this.
Yeah, I mean,
this lacrosse field.
Silly.
And again, I understand it's entertainment. It has to be interesting. Like, real life is very boring. So watching them make the phone call with, Lois Fingerhood's secretary, 2:00 on Friday. And yes, that's not interesting. Like, this is more interesting. I get that. I don't know. I just feel like this is okay. I don't know. These storylines, I just don't.
I don't know. My expectations are very low.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm
I
setting them
guess so.
very, very low.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know what is going on with Sema and what they're trying to say about the
Yeah.
Sema stuff because, you know, this it's just this so her whole we can talk about it when
I
we get there.
understand her story. I think I
Okay.
understand this show better than you, Tess.
Oh, okay. Is it because
Uh,
I've been married way too long and I just live in this I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe I don't know. I
well,
don't know.
yeah. Look, I'm a single woman of
You
Seema's
are
age.
you're
I under
Sema and you
I
relate to okay.
I
So
can
tell
relate to
me.
Seema and I can relate to Charlotte. I just got finished doing that whole, college thing, and that's all real.
Mhm.
So anyway, I don't
All
know.
right. I think I just live in my weird world with my kid that if I ever, tried to get him to do one of these things, he'd look at me like, "What? No, never." Um,
All right,
so,
well,
yeah.
who do
Well,
you
let's
want to
start
you
with
want
let's
to
start with Charlotte and LTW.
Okay.
Let's just do that.
Well, yeah, we've kind of already like told their story, but
Well,
s-
yeah, I was
yeah.
going to ask you, what did you think? So that so their whole, as we've described what the story is, but one of the very earliest scenes of this is they see a bunch of moms gossiping, talking about this Lois Fingerhood, aka the Ivy Whisperer, and so LTW and Charlotte go running into the principal's office, and and they're like, "Oh my God, something terrible's happening!" And then the principal is like, "Oh, I prepared for this," and then gets out a bulletproof vest.
Mhm.
What did you think of that? Because I was like, huh.
Well, again, I have to tell you that as a parent, that was my worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Is a school shooting. And I remember one time um my daughter called me from school. No, she texted me from school. And you know how these kids they text like in a bunch of separate
Mhm.
texts. They write a few words, they press send. They write a few more words, they press send. Drives me nuts. So she says, "Mommy,"
Mhm.
and she only says "mommy" when like something is wrong. Um, and then I'm waiting, 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 and then the next one is "I'm scared,"
Mhm.
and then I'm waiting, waiting, and I'm like, "Oh my God, this is it. This is it. They're
Mhm.
shooting." Turns out, no, she just was having an anxiety attack because she had to take a test and she didn't realize it was that day or something. But that was the first thing that popped into my mind. And I have to tell you, during COVID, when schools were closed, I was glad.
Mhm.
It's like one less thing to worry about,
Yeah.
a school
No,
shooting.
I don't disagree with you about that. I'm just wondering, I didn't know if is this funny or is this a little too it
I
feels
think
just a
it's
little too real for it to be
yeah.
funny. Do
It's
you know what I
well,
mean? I was like, I'm having a hard time. Like, I get the joke, but I'm having a hard time laughing at it because, and I don't mean to be a stick in the mud, but there's another part of me. It's like, this is really one of those. Is this really funny? Is this ever really funny?
I don't know if it was meant to be funny.
Mm.
I think it was because they're in a panic.
Hmm.
And, he's just picking up on that panic. And as the head of the school, that's the first thing. What is the worst thing that could happen as being the head of
Yeah. No,
a
you're
school
right.
shooting?
Probably that. Yeah.
So I don't think it was I don't think they meant it that way. I just, again, I think it was those two moms, the writers, Eliza and, I can't remember the other,
Oh,
the
we're gonna
two
get in trouble,
women.
Brooke. We don't know
I know,
names.
I know.
Brooke
Someone
Brooke
called us
read a bunch of our reviews, and I'm so mad at you that you told me about those reviews because now they're stuck in my head, and all I think about is we're a lazy podcast.
Someone
Everybody,
called us lazy podcasters because we can't always remember like every
everybody's
single
names.
character's name or every person's name and everything we watch. So I guess we're lazy podcasters. But
No,
anyway,
we're middle aged podcasters. I'm
it's
sorry.
also look, I got one Eliza Gertzky or something like that.
Yeah, and I can
And
get you the other name real quick. I just give me a
yeah.
minute.
Well, they're the
Just
two women who've been writing since the original Sex and the City with Michael
hmm
Patrick King because we're not that lazy. We do listen to the HBO companion podcast
yes, yes.
every week, which is a whole nother hour of listening to them.
Well, I felt like this week's episode. I mean, obviously, Michael Patrick King was insufferable as always,
Oh, it
but
was, yeah.
um, the other thing was I felt like I don't know, I felt like the episode was very just, okay, then this happens, then this happens, and this happens. Usually they describe why they made the choices that they made. Maybe
Yeah.
that's why I'm having a hard time with this, because I just didn't feel like, well, why this storyline for Charlotte? Why this? Why that? I mean, if they had said, yeah, the vest, we went back and forth on the vest, but we really felt like we wanted to make a statement, because that is the worst thing that could happen. As you're
Mhm.
explaining it to me, I'll be like, oh, okay, got it. This episode, I didn't feel a lot of love from
Oh,
any of them.
from the writers.
Yes, yes, or
Yeah.
interest or any of that, you
Well,
know?
maybe it will be revealed, I guess, like where this is going. I don't know. Yeah, some weeks they get really detailed about their intention of why they did this, why they wrote a scene a certain way, and then some weeks they just kind of do a recap.
Yeah. This was
And that
very much
was
a
kind
recap.
of like this week, but anyway, it's Eliza and Julie.
Thank you. I was looking for the names, Eliza and Julie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they wrote it and Michael Patrick King directed it, which I think is a lot of their episodes. Um,
Yeah. Oh, well, and they had the Samantha Irby is still
yeah.
there, although you never know it because they don't let her talk. But
And she's the one I find the most interesting. Like,
yeah,
she's the one that I
she
want to hear
makes
from.
yeah, she made some really good points
Yeah.
this week. So anyway, okay, so yeah, so even the principal acknowledges that. Okay, so they have this school-wide rule that you're not supposed to use any outside college counselors because the school has their own counselor named Debbie.
Mhm.
And um, trust me, at a private school like that, they would never have a rule like that, number one.
Mhm.
And, at my daughter's high school was a Catholic high school. They had multiple counselors who did all of this. It wasn't just one person. So I don't that premise isn't really realistic, but they catch these moms talking about it, and so they're going to go tattle. And but then even the principal acknowledges that Lois got 9 people into Princeton.
Yes.
And so he's kind of like pretending that he's looking the other way.
Yeah.
he's,
Yeah.
he's he doesn't care. um
Yeah. So, but they could not get a meeting. I guess Lois is completely booked up. So
yeah, they waited
Char-
too long.
Charlotte had to get her assistant to get on Facebook, because that's where middle-aged people are. And stalk him, and they, oh, okay, her son's at a baseball game, is playing baseball, so they've got to go over there and stalk her
Mhm.
and basically bully her into giving them a meeting. And yeah, I mean, there's one little section in this with Charlotte where we see her walking down the street with Anthony, and Anthony wants to show her his new brick and mortar. Can we weave Anthony into this section?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He wants to show his brick and mortar business, Hot Fellas store. And so I thought that was like a good moment. I just felt like that was an interesting moment for Charlotte to be able to kind of stop and realize, like, because she says, she starts blaming herself for not being much more up on the college thing. She's like, I dropped the
Mhm.
ball. I wasn't paying attention. See, that I thought was interesting. Like, that's the part of the story that I think is really interesting, is
Yeah.
the blame that she feels. Why isn't Harry worried about these things? His kid
Right.
too. But yeah,
Or Herbert.
or Herbert, yeah. And I think that, like, talking about that, and maybe this is episode 3 or 4, but I felt like this whole section really just went for the extreme goofy comedy of it all versus, well, what is really real? That's all.
Yeah. No, it's true. Again, I have a hard time believing that between the 4 of those parents, someone wouldn't have realized, "Oh, it's fall of senior year." Like, should we be doing something?
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know where in time this is actually. Might even be earlier because these things, they push them on you, as early as possible. So,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
sure it's like they're both juniors or something, and it's spring of
Yeah.
junior year. I'm sure that this is the time to start doing it.
Mhm.
And Charlotte's always had this storyline around keeping up with the Joneses and trying to fit in and doing, being the Uber mom and all of that. I think it just would be interesting to see her, right, balancing being this uber perfect mom and working and doing everything. And then she's got this friend who's like, I don't even see you. I never hear about you. You're always talking about yourself and your damn kids. I
Mhm.
want to show you something. And then she's just very like dismissive, like, oh, okay, great. Let's go look at your store.
Yeah, and we haven't, well, at least this season, we haven't even seen Charlotte at work yet.
Yeah, but well, except when the assistant was
Yeah, which
looking
is,
into
yeah.
Facebook. Yeah, we haven't at all.
So, is she still, yeah, I guess she's still working at that gallery.
I don't know.
Um,
No one did the whole like slapstick stuff as well as Kim Cattrall. Like,
mhm,
no, you know what I mean? It's like nobody could do it as well as she did. And so
mhm.
she always made all of those scenes, they never felt ridiculous.
Mhm.
She just was so good. So I think that's the other part of it too, is maybe they're still doing the same sort of slapsticky things, but it doesn't work as well.
Yeah, Charlotte, she's trying to be, yeah, like the funny slapsticky person, and it's not working. And then Seema's trying to be the sexy
Hmm.
slapstick. You're right. I mean, Kim
Yeah,
Cattrall, she did both. She
she
did
did
it
it
all.
all.
Ah, God bless her.
Yeah, I mean, and it is. I'm sorry. There's a big hole.
There is a huge hole. Yeah.
And they've tried to bring in how many people to replace it, and you can't because she was so she was so confident in herself, but still very human and could laugh at herself. And,
Mhm.
she was so good and just, I don't know, she was just so good
Mhm.
and they made her do crazy stuff, like buck naked, just
Yeah,
crazy,
I
crazy. I mean,
know.
she was there for, man, she was good.
I
So
hope she got
anyway,
paid extra for all that
yeah.
nudity.
No, probably not.
Um, okay, so now they're on it. They've got this appointment. And so Charlotte is trying to call Lily. Now Lily is back at the ballet studio
Hmm.
playing piano and staring at her new crush. Um,
Yes.
I don't know, does he have a name? Oh, Diego.
The dancer.
Um, yeah, so they're making eye contact and there's this sexual tension, and the iPhone is just buzzing, buzzing, buzzing. Charlotte trying to reach her because there's this important meeting. And then when Charlotte can't reach her, she goes to the studio and barges
Hmm.
in and finds Lily and Diego making out in the stairwell.
Oh my gosh.
So
Yeah.
very, very dramatic. And like, guess because she has to go to this meeting like right away, like right then.
I don't
Is
know. I
that the
don't, yeah,
deal?
that was also weird because I was thinking to myself, what, Lily, why do you have your phone on the piano? You can't stop and take messages. There's a
Yeah.
ballet going on and you're the piano player. You have to keep going.
Yeah. I don't know.
So
Well,
what were you thinking?
They needed it for the scene.
Yes.
And then LTW does something equally as, cringy, and she goes to the lacrosse field or whatever it is and runs across the field and, fetches her son for
Yes.
this meeting. Um, so the kids meet with Lois and it's just a total disaster.
Yeah. Basically, she tells them that everything that makes them unique and special is not unique and special, and they've got to start all over again, which, for a junior in high school with all this pressure, that is the most disastrous thing you could ever say.
Oh
Is
gosh. Well,
everything that you've done up until this point is pointless.
she told them that it's no longer a good idea to be really well-rounded.
Hmm.
Okay, so then what does that mean? The opposite of that would mean that you only do one thing. You pick one thing and you do that for all of high school.
Hmm.
Is that what she means?
Yeah, I mean, and this was the other part of it too, is I felt like, okay, you're just picking the most extreme responses to
Mhm.
make it so that she's such a monster, and you can't possibly have your children work with her.
Yeah, and what did
Mm.
she say? She told God, what's Lisa's son's name? Can't think
Oh,
of it.
Herbert Jr.
Oh, Herbert Jr. She tells Herbert Jr. that he's inauthentic, and then she made another comment towards Lily that seemed to be a racial. I thought she was trying to say that, I don't know, took it that way, like inauthentic because what? He's not he's not black enough, not white enough, not
Mhm.
you know what I mean? That's how I took it, and then she made another comment about Lily that I thought was racially kind of weird. Do you remember that?
Yeah, yeah, just about I shouldn't tell them that I'm Asian, and I shouldn't
Or
tell
I
them that I'm
adopted,
adopted.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, in her application, I guess, in her essay.
mhm,
Yeah, I thought that was weird,
mhm.
but anyway, it freaked them out, and that would freak any kid out, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's the worst. Again, because of COVID, my daughter was spared a lot of this, and she was spared having to take the SATs,
Mhm.
which she had started just before. She started the prep class just before, and it was like pulling teeth. I think she went to like two classes, and she was just not well. Thank God we didn't have to go through that.
All right. So let's move on to Seema.
All right.
All right, Brooke, explain Seema to me because I don't understand her.
Well, I mean, I think the matchmaker pretty much explained it herself
Mhm.
to her. She said, "Yeah, you want a man to take care of you, but you want to be in charge.
Mhm.
You want this, but you do this." And that is the dilemma of, the modern professional woman who, does want to maintain control and be in
Mhm.
charge and has trouble letting go. And um
Mhm.
but then the matchmaker,
Sherry O'Terry.
Sherry
Who
O'Terry,
am I is it just me? Did she get a lot of work
plastic
done?
surgery.
Because Sherry O'Terry doesn't look like Sherry O'Terry. I mean, it looks
Well,
good-ish,
she
but it
looks
doesn't
like
look like
this.
her.
She kind of looked like a smoothed out Sherry O'Terry. Yeah,
But
and she
but
because she does.
slightly but do you know how then they kinda look slightly different? Like, when you see Jennifer Aniston, you're like, "Yeah, I know you're
Hmm.
smoothed out and you're still Jennifer Aniston, but, like, your face is a little different. It feels a little different." You know what I mean? It's that feeling.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Yeah, so I mean she reads her perfectly,
Mhm.
and but then, I don't think her advice to her, telling her to dress in pastels and,
Yeah,
you
yeah, that's
know.
what I was curious about because I felt like, you know, sh what she was really saying, and I agree with you, which what she was really saying to Seema is you've got to soften a little bit. I
Mhm.
mean, so for example, we see her go on her first kind of trial date with this guy, Elliot, right?
Mhm.
And she got the pastels on. I thought she looked beautiful in those pastels too. I think she looked great. And then pearls, and she goes through this whole thing where she doesn't feel like it's really her. And then she finally says, okay, you know what, Elliot, this isn't me. These pearls aren't me. This isn't what I wouldn't have, tiramisu is dead. The wine you picked sucked. I wouldn't have done this. I wouldn't have done that. And he's like, oh, I feel so, I'm glad you were honest. And then he went off to the bathroom and disappeared.
Mhm.
And I, again, maybe this is going to happen next episode or the episode after, but I felt like really what this matchmaker was trying to say to her was, you need to, you need to be kinder, period.
Mhm.
Like there's different, you don't have to say the tiramisu is tired. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's being mean to be mean. And that's sort of, she's so angry about being single still, not finding someone, being in this place that it's making her angry
Mhm.
and resentful. And it's a little bit like, so your solution is to wear pastels. It's like, no, there's something more really going on here with her.
Yeah, I mean, the advice of the matchmaker to just kind of soften is unrealistic. I mean, because prior to her boss, hooking her up with, was it Sydney, the matchmaker?
Yeah.
Is that her name?
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, sorry. Seema's business partner is Elliot. What was the guy's name?
oh, I thought, yeah, because I thought his name was Jake. The
Maybe Jake. Sorry. Elliot was the business partner.
Yeah,
Apologies.
he's the one who hooked her up with Sherry O'Terry. But prior to that, she went on a series of dates where, she just rejects all these men,
Mm-hmm.
instantly within a couple seconds. And so, I mean, yeah, she's very frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the answer is not to I mean, yeah, like you just said, I mean, the answer is, she needs to look at herself and say, "Well, um why am I so she seems to be repelled by everything.
Mhm.
She's turned off by everything. Every man she just finds something to reject and that's really the problem. It's not like she has no problem like meeting men or it's
Mhm.
just that she seems to just find something wrong with everybody. Um and
Yeah.
maybe I don't know cuz that the last two guys turned out to be such disappointments, she cuz before Ravi, remember there was the guy
Yeah.
who, I think she was really like
The smoker.
the smoker. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, two of them smoked a lot. But, I think she was really in love with him, but he was kind of a loser, like, didn't he live with his
Ex-wife.
ex-wife, and he was just kind of a
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think, and maybe this is speaking to this problem that happens for women, which
Mhm.
is that Seema is this beautiful woman, and all the men that are her age are trying to pursue 30-year-olds and
Right.
25-year-olds. And so she either has to go much older, maybe
Mhm.
more older than she wants to. So she feels angry about that. And she feels like, why can't I date someone my own age? And
Mhm.
then the men that she dates, because she's so strong and independent and makes her own money, right? Either the guy's going to be like, great, and glom onto her, or, oh, bye, that you're too independent. And I think that, at first when Sherry O'Terry was talking, I'm like, oh, this going to be about this idea of, you know, what do women need to do to, like, this whole idea of what women need to do to attract men,
Mhm.
right? The rules, the this, the that, like
Mhm.
having to be subservient, having to have not to have an opinion. Because basically Sydney's saying to her, yeah, on the first date, you need to be demure, you need to be you need to not
Right.
have an opinion, you need to like go along to get along kind of stuff. And I think this storyline personally would have been much more interesting if, because Seema had a recognition at the guacamole at the Mexican restaurant
Mhm.
that she is hate dating. She has
Mhm.
this thing, I'm hate dating. And then it would be like, then you know what? Have her go meet with a therapist. Like,
Yeah,
why does she need to meet? Maybe the therapist is next. But,
maybe.
maybe this is prepping her for the therapist. But that, to me, I feel like that would be a much more. And then explore with the therapist these, like, you could get into a lot of stuff, common themes. Did you ever watch Insecure?
Yes.
So you remember her best friend who was in therapy in and out, and that was a really interesting storyline of her friend who, right, same thing, very successful, beautiful,
Mhm.
had a lot of expectations, had a expected a lot, wanted everything, wanted
Right.
everyone to be everything, and the minute they didn't give it to him, she was like out the door, and then she's resentful, and we saw her over the seasons work on that
Mhm.
in therapy, and I thought that was really, really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is it's a big problem because, like you said, a man, especially a man who has money,
Yes.
it doesn't matter what age he is, he can get someone who's 20 to 30 years younger than him,
Oh yeah.
simply because he has money. Um, but yeah, so where does that leave the women that are his age?
Hmm.
And yeah, and Seema's going to want to date someone of a certain income and, social stature and whatever. So, yeah, and yeah, you're right. She needs to go to therapy.
Yes, she does. She
Yeah,
does.
she
I don't
does.
know.
Needs to go to therapy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Just this storyline, I felt like, I don't know.
Well, because I feel like this has been Seema's storyline for the last 3 seasons. We're going on 3 seasons now. Like her character is very
Yeah,
one-dimensional.
it is. It is.
It's not very interesting. So something needs to happen. Like maybe something really severe needs to happen to kind of wake her up or something. I don't know.
I
I'm
don't know.
still
Yeah.
rooting for her.
I'm rooting for Seema. I am. But I just think that Seema is, again, I'm not, I, I think she's definitely in a quandary. I think it's a really tough thing, but this isn't all just the nature of the world. like Seema has to own her
Right.
part in all of this. And I think that's the part that really bugs me. And what I mean, again, everyone wants to compare Seema to Samantha. And the thing about Samantha was that Samantha was unapologetically liked herself,
Mhm.
like, and could be tough, but not angry. Like Seema is very different in that way, right?
Yeah.
There's less of that joy of self that Samantha had. Samantha loved herself.
Yeah.
And I don't think Seema does. That's why she has to go to therapy
Yes, that's right.
to learn to love herself.
Stat. Come on, let's get into
Yes.
therapy.
All right. The storyline that I related to the most was Miranda's.
I know, this was funny.
Sadly, it was because it took me a minute. I had to rewind. I'm like, the name of that show is Bye Bingo.
Yeah, they didn't explain. Now, is it by BYE,
No, it's
by
BI.
BUY,
It's
or
BI.
right, I know.
Bye.
I
Yeah.
eventually figured that out, but I was trying to like, what? And I didn't really get the premise. I think I missed like what the description of the show about that it was bisexual women on an island or whatever it was.
Hmm.
But yeah, this is very typical, okay, so we watch reality TV, and if you're listening to this, you probably do too, but there's
Yeah.
this whole group of people out there who look down on reality TV and say, "Ugh, I don't know how you watch that, and it's so stupid." And at first Miranda says that because
Yeah.
she's at work, and these two younger women that she works with are watching this show on their phone or whatever. And yeah, it's a reality show where is it bisexual women and men, or
It's a
just
little.
bisexual women on an island and hooking up?
Yeah. I mean, I think basically that obviously I don't watch Love Island, but I know a lot of, so I've never really watched any episode of Love Island. I know people love it. But I think it was sort of like they were doing a Love Island, but let's make it bisexual because Miranda's
Mhm.
bisexual, but they don't describe anything else. Like that's it,
Okay.
you know?
So, and at first Miranda says like, "Oh, this is idiotic." But then she starts obsessively watching the
Yes.
show.
Because this is how
And
it works.
this is how we're and it is I don't know if there's any scientific research on this, but anecdotally, people say that people who watch reality TV, especially women, are usually very intelligent. And it's
Hmm.
because it comes from a place of curiosity,
Hmm.
of wanting to see, okay, well, how are other people living, and what are they
Hmm.
doing, and what are they willing to do for love, and why do they have these, then they start getting into, well, why can't they find someone, and what,
Yeah.
things we're talking about here. And people like Roxanne Gay, who's one of the biggest
Yeah.
feminists in the United States or in the world, loves the Real Housewives.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a lot of very and so it didn't surprise me that they use Miranda for this um storyline, because I think it's probably something that the writers have talked about.
Yeah. I'm sure. Well, and she also has a history of getting into TV shows. Remember Jules and Mimi? And I
Yeah.
mean, she has a history of being really into this kind of stuff. So
Hmm.
you could see it for sure. But I assume that this whole storyline was is a way to continue to propel Miranda's storyline. I mean, I think we're looking at like she's eventually going to at least have a date with this Joy, the British BBC reporter that she's interested in. So maybe this was sort of the bridge that needed to happen in order for Miranda to get pushed to ask Joy out, because Miranda gets hooked on the show. She goes to lunch with Seema and Carrie, and this one we all know really well because there's all these shows that only we watch and that we have no one to talk to. Right now for me it's The
Hmm.
Valley. Brooke doesn't watch The Valley. I don't know anybody else that watches The Valley, so I'm just talking to myself about it, or anyone that would listen to me. And yeah, that's what happens. And then suddenly someone overhears you and you're like,
Yeah,
oh,
you
I have
meet
a
a
kindred spirit.
stranger. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
good. You and I are on the same page. That's great. And then let's get into it. And I do think that is especially these reality shows, and if you think about this in a very big kind of meta way, all of these podcasts that we do, our relation, like these reality shows all bond us.
Hmm.
They have bond, it bonded all, it's bonding you if you found us through Sister Wives, like it bonds us.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, so she bonds with the guacamole
Yeah.
girl. And then
There
then of course I thought this was yeah, again, I don't know if this like you said, if this is part of trying to propel her storyline, but she assumes that the
Mhm.
guacamole girl must be at least bisexual because she's so enthusiastic about this show and loves it and they're talking about it.
Mhm.
And so Miranda asks her on a date and she's like, "Oh, I'm married with kids." I mean, so why would Miranda assume that because she watches a show about bisexual dating show that she's
Mhm.
bisexual?
Well, I think of I mean, and maybe, and this is what I was hoping to hear them comment on the
Mhm.
podcast, the companion podcast, was, is this part of the process for Miranda of, we watched Miranda date men, now
Mhm.
Miranda's dating women. Are you what's the comment? Are you trying to comment like, yeah, it's just as hard, even though you think maybe it might be easier with women, it's just as difficult and just as
Mhm.
hard to read, and that she maybe with a man she would be flirting and they would have this flirtatious banter, and that would mean that he was single and interested, and maybe is she
Right.
realizing now that with women that might be a little bit different because, and I do agree with that because women are a lot, right? Like women can be very friendly and
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 curious
and
and ask
curious and
questions.
interested and
Yeah.
asking questions and like,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So it is easy to get that mixed up. So I kept thinking they were going to comment on that, but they didn't. So,
Yeah, that's an interesting point because I know, like, being a woman, especially when I was younger, anytime I would talk to a man out in
hmm,
public, I felt like they thought that was some automatic
yeah,
signal that I was interested in them. I got to the point where I just started being rude to people because it's like, just because I'm pleasant to you and I'm making
hmm,
conversation, I'm talking, doesn't mean I want to like go out with you.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was like if you smile, if you
Yeah,
smile back, if you're friendly, if you're nice, if you banter with them, and
right.
but even like men who you might say, or you might meet socially and you might just say, "Hey, well, you want to grab a cup of coffee?" It's like, this isn't a date. Like,
Mhm. Calm
I can
down.
resist you, pal. And that's the other thing. Men are so unbelievable too. I don't think that we want them, I mean, but yeah, it is true. I mean, I think that that is always it's always in the back of everybody's mind when it comes to men and women. So how is this different for her now
Yeah.
that she's dating women,
Right, like,
and
are you being nice to me because you like me, or are you just being nice to me?
also what is I would also like to hear, because I don't know, I am not up on all of this, but if you are bi, I would assume that when you're out and about in the world and you're single, you're just you are looking for whatever connection that you're going to make.
Mhm.
If it's male, great. If it's female, great. But it seems a little bit like Miranda's really, but to me, it's like, no, it seems like Miranda, you want to be with women.
Mhm. It does.
And so why, right? But this has got to be by bingo. It, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just, it's a weird area.
Yeah, I don't know either, but, I mean, her getting together with Joy from the BBC makes more sense anyway, because that was the end of the last season, is that,
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
comes on Miranda comes on as a guest on CNN, and then you see them afterwards at a bar just having a drink, and then we never see her again until now.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
this makes much more sense. These are 2 women who are, like, at the same intellectual level, it's probably
Hmm.
same place in life. Um, this looks like it might actually work.
Hmm.
So, and,
And so,
she joked with her, she said she took a nun's virginity last week. Like,
mhm.
didn't seem to really phase her, but
Yeah, I think it would be much more interesting to have Miranda explore, right? To have Joy maybe in the office more and explore that and this, right? Because Miranda's like, but we're working together. Is that okay? And,
mhm,
but, maybe the other thing too might be like, oh, I really like this person. And I feel like maybe this could be a really serious person. Do I want to get into another relationship? A lot of times
mhm,
people won't date certain people because they know, I don't want to be in a relationship and this is a relationship person.
right.
So, I mean, all of that would be interesting too. I don't know why we have to take a pit stop on buy bingo and guacamole.
I don't know.
But I was just going to say, this is one thing that irritates me. Why there are no places out here in California, Northern California, that have that
Oh,
tableside
tableside
guacamole.
guac. I've
That
never
is,
seen that.
it is what I want so badly. I want to dare to dream I've never been to a place like this.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't think I have either.
I mean, here in California, we have the best, so much better than the East Coast. The best Mexican restaurants, the
Yeah,
best, you know what I mean? The
guacamole.
best
Yeah.
guacamole, absolutely hands
California
down.
Hass avocados. Yeah.
Yes. And so you would think, wouldn't this be a thing?
It should be. Maybe
It should be.
we need to start a business. We need to open a
Yeah.
restaurant that just has tableside guac and
Well,
drinks. I don't know.
honestly, it should be a cart. It should be a cart that we wheel around to people.
Oh,
Just
you
make
know
them
how
tableside guac, like wherever they are in the world, you want guac.
yeah. Well, you know how when you come out of, concerts and sporting events and they have the
Mhm.
hot dog vendors?
Yeah.
We could have a guac, cart where we
Well, would a really drunk person want to sit there and like wait for us to mix the avocados
well, no, we
together
could
with the
just kinda keep
salsa?
it rolling,
Oh,
so that
okay.
it's always, it's constant.
But you know how like you're out and about and maybe you're out and you're having a drink and you're there. Sometimes you're like, I'd like a little chips and guacamole.
Mhm.
But you don't want to have to order food. And you also, a lot of these bars, how good is the food going to be? You could just be this tableside guacamole
Yeah.
person. Like, oh God, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah. They are.
All right. Well, we'll get moving on that.
Yeah, this is our next career.
Yes. Okay. So let's get to Carrie and Aiden and Carrie and the what was this guy's name? Adam Gardens.
Well, yeah, well,
Uh
first we have Carrie and Lizette.
yes. And this is one thing that really bugs me about, and I think it's a Sarah Jessica Parker acting choice. When she acts like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Like, I'm only a New Yorker who has been in a
Yeah.
bar every single night for umpteen years, but ooh, there's a lot of people here. And okay.
Yeah. Well, and also she's dressed in this, very she's overdressed, She's
Mhm.
got on this like really fancy dress and her high heels. And I noticed that when she walked in, so she's walks into a bar
Mhm.
and there's like a couple of guys hanging out in front of the bar who are, I don't know, 30-ish. And they show them turning around to look at her. She
Mm.
walks past them and they turn around to look at her walking away from them. And I'm just like, "Oh, please." I mean, look, she's beautiful, gorgeous, whatever, but she looks like she's much older than 30.
Mhm.
These 30-year-old guys are not gonna be looking her up and down.
No.
I thought that was really weird. And then later, one I don't think it's the same guy, but another guy comes over and, um, in the podcast, they were trying to act like he was coming over to buy Carrie a drink, and it's like, "No,
Mhm.
he's coming over to because of Lizette." I mean, he's just being polite and offering to buy her a drink.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand that. I mean, I don't think he would have. I think what would be more realistic is if he was like, "Well, ladies, let me buy you," right? Like, I'm sorry, the guy would keep his options open. Trust me. I
Well, and
mean,
I
I don't
thought
think he would
that's what he
aim for one or the
did.
others.
Didn't he I think the writers' room got it wrong. Didn't he order Um,
He
3
ordered
dr
three
he ordered
drinks.
3 drinks. Well, they were trying to say he ordered 2 drinks, 1 for him and 1 for Carrie, and it's like
Mm,
and they're like, "Yeah, she's still got it, these guys are ordering her drinks," and it's like, "No,
yeah.
that's not you wrote this and you don't even remember how it happened."
No, you know what it is? Michael Patrick King is so far up Sarah Jessica Parker's ass. These
I
three
know.
name people that she and listen, I think Sarah Jessica Parker is a beautiful woman. I think I love her style, and I think she is.
Mhm.
I do believe she's a good actress. I'm not. That's not my issue. The thing is that he has got such stars in his eyes for her, and loves her so much that I think what we have. I mean, again, and she's a producer on the show. Let's not
Mhm.
forget
Yeah.
she's a producer and she has power and control. Kim Cattrall will tell you that,
Yeah.
and that is that always the healthiest? Is that good? I think that this is a huge blind spot of the show is
Yeah.
the fact that he is way too in love with her. and too fascinated by her.
Yeah. No,
That
there's a conflict of interest kind of,
yeah.
like, yeah.
Well, but the fact that no one's saying to her, "Hey, Carrie, guess what? Carrie has been in tons of bars. She would walk in with confidence. She wouldn't walk like, oh, I don't know, right?
Yeah.
It just why?
Yeah, like,
I don't
she
know.
hasn't been in a bar in years. I mean, of course
Mm-hmm.
she has. She was just in a bar, like, in the last scene. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, and so Lizette this whole scene kinda bugged me because Lizette gives her this necklace that she made for her that has the numbers of her old address. Because now Lizette is living in her old apartment. I guess she just
Mm-hmm.
gave it to her. I mean, that's quite a gift. Because
Or
remember
maybe she sold it to her. I think
well,
no,
sold
because
it to her at a
Seema
discount.
complained because yes,
Right.
Seema complained because she didn't get top dollar, but Lizette did pay for it.
Okay. Yeah, so Lizette still can manage at even at a discount to pay for this,
Mm-hmm.
New York City apartment making jewelry. So she made this necklace that I didn't think was very attractive and kind of tacky looking, honestly. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I had a feeling that when Lizette said, I hear I made you something," I knew it was gonna be jewelry, and I
Mhm.
knew it was gonna have something to do with the apartment.
Mm.
And what they were saying to us in the writer's room, the podcast was, "Oh, we wanna keep that old apartment alive and well, in the series," and I got that, I get it,
Mhm.
no one's gonna forget about it. I don't know why you need to keep it in our minds.
Yeah,
We're
I
not that
haven't
dumb.
forgotten. Yeah, hasn't been that
Because we
long.
all know, and when we get to more of what's happening with her and Aiden,
She could
yeah,
be moving back into that
yeah.
apartment very
So
soon.
I don't think we need a reminder, but yeah, I don't know. I didn't really love it. I didn't like this whole thing that Lizette's like, "Ugh, I don't think she's a very good actress. I'm in a
No.
relationship with my phone and I can't stand my phone and my phone and my phone and my phone and my phone." And I do understand that in the writers room they are trying to make this distinction between what is modern dating, what does that look
Mhm.
like, what are the frustrations, but again, you all were the kings and queens of talking about what it meant to date in a weird modern world 25 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a little bit like you can't now conceptualize this and how it's different and how
Yeah.
what it's like. Like they didn't even allow Lizette to really even get in there and really explain what is it about these
Yeah,
relationships. It was
because
just like I got stood up by a psychiatrist and he asked me how I felt about that. Like just it's all about the joke.
right. Yeah, this was a bad scene because yeah, and then she throws her phone, which no one would ever do. And then she says, "Oh, you're so lucky you met Aiden before all of this."
Mhm.
The phones and the technology because we forget, yeah, they met 20 years ago or something. Um, but then Carrie said, I thought she made some comment like, well, yeah, like it's kind of like, a 20-year-old is talking to you about how hard dating is. And it's like, well, do you think dating was easy for us? Do you think dating
Mhm.
is ever easy? I don't know. Do the phones make it harder or easier? It's like you could argue it both
Yeah.
ways,
It makes it different. It's different.
yeah,
That's
it's different, but it is
yeah.
still difficult, and you're
Yes.
still gonna run into the same problems and insecurities and whatever, and in a way, like, dating with the digital stuff, I feel like it helps you weed out, bad people faster because
Mm.
they're able to sort of expose their flaws fairly quickly and easily, because you are, like, because you can 'cause you are having more contact, like, early on.
Mhm.
Whereas, if you have to wait for some guy to call you on a rotary phone and,
And then be home
and you happen to
to
be
pick up the
home when he
phone.
calls, you get the call and he's like, "Oh, hey, you wanna meet, you wanna go out Friday night?" And then you gotta wait until Friday night and he
Mhm.
drives over and picks you up. I mean, I don't know, that takes a while to figure out that that guy's a weirdo, but you can figure out if someone's a weirdo online pretty fast.
Yeah. I mean, again, I don't know. I have a different take on it, but I will say one thing about that is, do you know how many men lost phone numbers? you know how many men, like,
Mhm.
remember, you have to get a pen and a piece of paper,
Yeah.
and, and then the guy would have to, like, keep the phone number.
Keep it in his
And
pants and not,
yeah,
throw it in the wash and, like
and
yeah.
I had, my roommate Travis, like, this happened to him constantly. He's like, "Oh, I met this girl. God damn it, where's that phone number?" Like, he could not keep the phone numbers ever,
Mhm.
like, retain them. So, I mean, that is a real thing. But I always say about modern dating, what's different is that, unfortunately, the way it works now is nobody is in real life. I think dating would be a little bit better if in real life people were still doing what we used to do, which is like keeping their heads up and looking around more.
Mhm.
I think what's so hard about now is, again, you don't know if you're going to be attracted to someone until you're in the same
In
room with them.
person, yeah.
And that's the part I think that is exhausting, is having to weed out good quality people, and then you meet with them and you're like, "Oh crap, like, there's no chemistry, or you
Mhm.
used a really old picture, or
Mhm.
you don't seem to be, you don't like me," whatever it is. And I think that part's really, really hard. I think at least if you met someone at a bar and you gave them their number, you at least know you think they're cute
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
you had an interesting enough conversation. But I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's I'm not quite sure. I don't know why they have this Lizette character and why they're keeping her. Not really into it.
Yeah. So the next scene after that is we see her in her garden, and she's working on her book. She's working on this fictional book that is set in the 1840s, because Carrie loves, old New York history and Gramercy Park history and all this kind of stuff. And so she's admiring a squirrel, and, like, very Snow White, Mary Poppins. And then all of a sudden, these rats start come, out of the woodwork from all of these bushes. And we, of course, see a scene of her yelling and screaming. There's a lot of these of her yelling and running into the house.
Well, that would be terrifying. I
Yeah.
mean, like, forget that this is made up, but can you
Hmm.
imagine if you were sitting in a small space like that and all of a sudden like 25 rats, huge rats,
Yeah.
just come streaming out of the ivy and she's like having to try to step over them
Ugh.
to get
Yeah.
away. I mean, it would those screams I felt were real. Like
Hmm.
that was a good acting job. But I mean, she wasn't acting. Those were real rats. They talked
Yeah.
about how they had to import some rats because you can't employ New York City rats. They won't allow you.
Yeah. They're in a union. Those New York City rats are in a
They
union, and
had
they're
to
not they're not
import.
working for day rates.
No, they had to import them from like North Carolina because it's illegal to use rats as in TV production. I guess in New York.
Yeah. So we
So
see her. So she ends up, I guess, the gardener. She says, "Oh, please get rid of, anywhere that rats could be," and then the gardener gets rid of everything. So here we are again with another symbol
yeah.
of, there's, darkness underneath all of this. You've got to rip everything away and
Mhm.
start anew. And then this is where Aiden surprises her, um, and
Yeah. So
and
he
basic.
scares her. He literally just she's in her house alone
Mm-hmm,
thinking, nobody's ever going to come in. All of a sudden Aiden appears like a stalker killer
mm-hmm.
in the kitchen or whatever,
In the closet,
in the
in her
closet.
closet.
And another scream, another
Yeah.
blood-curdling scream from Carrie.
But thank God we did not get us. I mean, I was like, after the palm licking last week, I'm like, "Oh, thank God the door is closing.
No,
Oh, thank
yeah.
you. I didn't need any more of that.
No, we
I'm
didn't
just
have
gonna leave, shut the door. We got it."
we didn't have to see them in bed together.
Ay, ay,
Thank
ay.
goodness. But yeah, he said that he was upset and felt guilty and he thinks that now maybe he overreacted.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
really?
we see we see them the next day, and basically Carrie finally says something to him, like, like, basically, because I think she's happy to see him, but she's also super frustrated because it's a
Yeah.
little bit like, "Oh, so thus far this entire relationship has been on your terms.
Mhm.
You know, when you want to have phone sex, when it's
Mhm.
convenient for you, you're going to drop in and scare me half to
Yeah,
death, and
just
I'm supposed
pop
to
up.
drop everything.
Yeah.
And what are we doing? What's going on? So it is good that he finally admits, like he does own the fact that he overreacted. I went too far, you know, and I'm sorry. I just why did it take all of this to get him to say that? Like if she hadn't challenged you, would you not have said that to her?
Mhm.
Do you know there's a little bit of this again, that's the part that doesn't feel right. Like again, I think I could see someone overreacting and getting a little crazy and feeling like, okay, no, we can't do anything and running off and then making a different and then realizing, oh, that was too much. But it doesn't seem like he realized that. It's a little bit of um oh, he realized it's too much, but he's not letting her in on that, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Well, and it's not like he's saying he's being very nonchalant. Like he's saying
Yes.
something to along the lines of, "Well, you can contact me whenever you want."
Well,
That
no.
that's not very helpful. No, because when one time she called and you couldn't talk, and
Mhm.
um there's going to be a lot of times when she's going to call, and you're not going to be able to talk, and she's afraid to even text him.
Mhm.
She keeps doing all these voice texts and then deletes them, because it's almost like she's afraid to talk to him. She doesn't know, oh, is this too much?
Mhm.
Is this too much contact? Are this is she's really in a bad place. Like she
Yeah.
needs to get out of this. She needs to just say to him, I mean, this is just uh I mean, this is awful. You can't live like this. She needs to say, either we talk about this and we find some kind of arrangement that works for both of us, or
Mhm.
I guess we can't be together, because I can't live like this.
Mhm.
She can't live like this. It's terrible. And
Yeah, she is reverting back to Carrie and Big. She was
yeah.
reverting back to feeling like she needs to tiptoe around this man. Don't ask for too much, don't
Mhm.
demand too much, and if you keep going on like that, then, you know, just get give take in the crumbs that he's willing to give you.
Yeah.
And that was what was so like shocking and so such a difference when we met Aiden, and why they introduced Aiden to begin with, I believe, right, is to
Mhm.
show this is what it's like if someone really loves you.
Yeah.
Like if someone is available to
They'll
you and
show
loves you,
up, they'll
they'll show
call,
up. They're
yeah.
not going to make you feel. And that the fact that then way back when from in the series, we saw Carrie getting, you know, two in her head and pushing him away and doing stupid things and you know, and cheating on him, some of
Mhm.
these other things that she did. So it's a little bit like seeing her in this situation again. It's like, oh God, you're back to where you were
Yeah.
with Big. And does that feel right? I mean, and again, I don't know. I don't know what it's like to suddenly find myself single at 50 some odd years old. Like maybe I would do the same thing. I don't know. I don't know. But it's just it feels a little bit like this Carrie that we meet today, this 50 some odd year old widow would stand up for herself a little bit more.
Yeah, I think she's still in shock, because when you think about it, look, he they both were like trying to set this up for success. Like she
Mhm.
um got the place so they could be together,
Mhm.
thought about his kids. They wanted to have enough space so that they could visit. Both they were both trying to set this thing up to work, and then Carrie just gets the rug pulled out from under her.
Mhm.
And I think she was just shocked. I think she's still in shock, and
Mhm.
still doesn't really know how to deal with it. And uh who was it? Was it well, like Lizette, like by saying that, oh, you're so lucky you met Aiden, before all this. Like, I think there's part of her that feels like, well, I should feel lucky that, I have this man, but
Mhm.
it's like, he's not even here.
Well, and the other thing too is she didn't even tell Lizette what was going on.
Yeah.
She didn't say, "Well, actually, I don't. This is
Yeah.
what's going on," right? She kind of brushes off that and wants to talk about the history of her apartment.
Mhm.
So, yeah, and this was one thing that so they're talking about this, and did you also notice, and this was last week as well, a lot of the our place. So she eyes a table. She's like, "Well, we
Mhm.
need furniture for our place. What do you think about this table?" And, Aiden, a furniture designer, just gives it a
Mhm.
thumbs down, which I thought was like, I feel like if he was going to have an opinion on something, furniture would be it.
Mhm.
But she points out, which is absolutely true, texting emojis to each other is not a relationship.
Yeah.
And again, we're back to that same thing because yeah, that is the problem with long distance relationships is two people are living two different lives at two different times. And
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it does make it hard to figure out when do we communicate and how do we do that. And then he's just
Yeah.
Mr. Casual over here. Well, yeah, sure, anytime.
Yeah, and then he takes off. He's out the door.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know when he's coming back or when we'll see him again or when she'll talk to
Yeah,
him again or anything. And the next time she makes contact with him, he just sends an emoji.
yeah.
This
I
is
was like,
not going
well,
to work.
yeah, and also the other thing is buy the table, Carrie. Buy it. You can afford
Yeah,
it.
you don't need
You have
his
more money than he
permission.
does.
You're
So
the one who's
yeah,
living.
why?
Yeah, you're living there. He's not even living
Hmm.
there. So,
Yeah. And I
whatever.
think again, what we're seeing is, I mean, they speak to it a little bit in the companion podcast, but I think what they're trying to show us or tell us is, she made a series of choices based on a different future, a different garden,
Mhm.
and now this garden looks very different, and she's sort of faced with what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And I do understand she's still in this state of I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what to do. I just feel like she would I feel like they're doing a little I understand she's processing, but I feel like she would be a little bit more
Sh
willing to put herself out there and say, "No, I'm not willing to do
Yeah, I mean,
this."
she's not speaking up at all. She's
Yeah.
not. She's just and again, I think she's in shock, doesn't know what to do because she doesn't wanna lose him,
No.
but she also knows that this is not sustainable.
Yeah. So then we meet this new guy, Adam
Mm.
Gardens, who is I guess a native New Yorker, and a landscape architect who works on celebrities gardens, other New York celebrities gardens. And yeah, so and again, they show us, right, they're trying to sort of show us this parallel between her and Aiden and her and this guy Adam. Like, he is there, he is physically there, he's
Mhm.
staring at her, he's having a conversation, he's being present with her,
Mhm.
he is giving her everything that Aiden can't give her
Mhm.
in that moment. And yeah, I don't know if he's going to be like a romance. I think he's cute. um
Well,
and
she definitely seemed to like him.
yeah,
She
yeah,
was
because he's
kind
a
of
cutie
she
and
was
he's interesting.
flirty. She was flirty and yeah, I mean, I don't think they introduce someone like this unless it's gonna go somewhere, but she says this metaphor, kind of sums it up because he's asking her, well, what do you want, in this garden?
Hmm.
And she says that she doesn't know what she wants. She liked things as they were.
Yeah, yeah, that was it, because when she bought the house, that was the vision. That was the
Hmm.
vision. Yeah. um
Yes. Well, that's a lot.
yes, it is a lot. So we've covered it all,
Yes. Well,
and for a
but
show
thank
that we
you.
criticize a lot, I still
We
do enjoy it.
we just talked about it for an hour. Yeah, no, look, I love this show in all its iterations and I will always watch it. Um, but we're just watching with a critical eye.
Yes. Yes, yes. And we've known these characters for so long
Yeah.
that it's very normal to feel
Yeah.
some kind of allegiance and wanting to see them be be the best versions of themselves and be authentic to who they are and all that stuff. So,
Yeah, and I was watching I caught or I guess maybe I was listening on XM radio to the Andy Cohen. He had like he had a show with all of the actresses.
I saw some clips of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course he's very good friends with Sarah Jessica, as he also
Mhm.
calls her. Um and and yeah, it's so funny how we're all talking about these characters as if they are real people, and even the
Yeah.
people playing them, talking about them like they're real. And we know so much about. Yeah, we're pulling back from, well, 20 years ago when this happened to Charlotte.
Mhm.
I mean, this has
Yeah.
really been like a long-term investment, because we've been watching from the beginning. We watched it in real time, got
Mhm.
together every Sunday night and turned on HBO and watched it for the 20 or 25 years, whatever it was. And so yeah, these people are just part of our lives.
Yes, yes. Well, and if you wanna be part of our lives, look at that
Yeah, well,
transition.
that was a great transition.
You can, there's different ways of doing that. We are, if you're watching us right now, hello, we're on YouTube, everybody. It's very
Hello,
exciting. We've
hello.
moved and we are now doing what all podcasters are doing. There was what was I watching? Was I listening to something or watching something? Maybe it was like a TV show or something where they were saying, if your podcast isn't on video, then you're just wasting your time in the world that we live in today. I'm like, oh, geez, thank God we got
Thank
on
God
YouTube when
we
he did. I mean,
yeah.
we're right on the edge there.
Almost didn't make it.
Yeah, yeah. So we're now viable. But you can support us in different ways. You can write us a review,
Please,
which
only right. Look,
oh God, the
only
review. I
nice
hate that
reviews
you read the
only.
reviews and tell me about it. I really do.
Well, I'm trying. I thought I was going on there looking for some good reviews. I was trying to make you feel good, so I could tell you. But no, but you know why I did that? Sorry to waylay. I did that because since going on YouTube and since getting our social media more
Oh,
more
okay, that's
active,
true.
we've gotten a lot of really positive feedback. And so
Mhm.
I was like, "Oh, this is great." And I just thought, "Well, let's see what's happening over here." Well, not at Apple Podcasts. Apple Podcast skews very mean.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah.
does. So please, if you don't like us, don't listen. This is a
Oh,
free
yeah.
this is a free podcast. You could have turned this off an hour ago.
And then don't write some horrible review. Those are the people like what I wonder about those people are they now hate watching us? Are they doing what we're doing? Like, has this become that meta that people are watching us, hating
To
us,
hate on
and
us and
while
comment
we
on
watch
it.
while we watch it just like that and hate that, and then so on and so forth?
It's
Yeah.
possible. It's possible.
But or are those this is what I always wonder if those people they're like, "Ugh, this show sucks," and then they write the review and then delete us, or do they keep going?
That's a good
Um,
question.
yeah, I would love to know if someone
Let
would
us
like to
know.
comment on
Let
that.
us
Yeah.
know.
If you want even more from us, you can check out our Patreon. We have you get all these shows ad free, plus you get a weekly bonus and a true crime that is only for Patreon, a recap of a true crime, and an Ask Us Anything. You can ask us legal questions or therapeutic questions, that kind of thing. So go check us out there, and yeah, follow us on social media, and yeah,
Yeah, we're on
spread the word.
all the socials and YouTube. So
Yep.
wherever you would like to go.
Yes. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much, everybody.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.